Hey, welcome to Mission Students Online. My name is Jessica Bowman. I am so happy I get to be here with you today. Warm welcome from our church to you. Did you know at 9 a.m. on Sundays, students gather here at the building in the garage, or they gather in their home online through Zoom? If you want to learn more about those two ways to gather, you can check out the link below. Hey, coming up next Sunday, I want you to know we are having what we call Cozy PJ Sunday. We want you to come to the building in your most comfortable PJs or slippers. Don't worry about doing your hair, definitely brush your teeth, but we are going to have a great time as we get to return to the building for 2021. I cannot believe it. And here's the thing, even though December 25th, Christmas Day has passed, I want you to know that our relationship with Jesus, it lasts forever. In fact, every day we have an opportunity to invest in our relationship with God. And so will you join me this year in investing in that relationship? Go ahead and enjoy today's experience, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
It's time! It's what the announcer would yell to kick off some of my most favorite, exciting events, where modern day gladiators fight head to head, mano a mano, a test of skill. It took years and years of discipline, months of strategy, all to be crowned the ultimate fighting champion. You see, I was a huge fan of mixed martial arts, and I didn't miss a pay-per-view. And actually, right after high school, I got to go see a live UFC event in person. I'm not gonna lie, it was awesome. The rings, it was electric. The atmosphere, the fans screaming, yelling, cheering for their fans. But honestly, the most memorable part of the night wasn't even something that happened in the ring. It was something that happened in the middle of intermission in the audience. Out of nowhere, the crowd just starts roaring. And I look over, and two sections to my left, there's this man who's fighting not one, but two security guards. My jaw drops when the big security guard picks up this little dude and just tosses him. And the crowd is screaming as we watch this guy tumble down flights and flights of stairs. It was insane. The guy definitely got arrested, and he got escorted out of the building, and he missed out on the main event fights of the evening. That situation actually reminds me of a story in the Bible, a story of a man named Jacob. You see, Jacob's name literally means supplanter. A supplanter is someone who takes over someone else's place on purpose. What you gotta know about names in the biblical times is names weren't something you gave to someone because you liked the way it sounded. Names were very, very, very thought out. They were prayed over because a name was not just a title, but it was to be this person's essence, their very identity. So his parents named him Supplanter. And Jacob was not the older brother, he was the younger brother. And the older brother was supposed to receive what's called a birthright. But Jacob supplanted it from his older brother Esau. In Genesis 32, it says this, verse 24 through 28. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched his hip socket. And Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day has broken." But Jacob said, get this, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Then he said, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God," or you fought with God and with men and have prevailed. What I hope you get from this is God's looking to use someone who wants it. God's looking to use someone who's willing to do whatever it takes. Jacob would not let go of the guy until he blessed him. And I want to challenge you today. Don't just get caught standing on the sidelines. God's gonna do something special. You can't stop a move of God, but you can get caught just watching. Step in the game, make it happen.
So to be fully honest, the only reason I am here right now is because my mom made me. I thought of literally everything possible of reasons I couldn't do this. Like, man, I got a busy schedule. I have a lot going on. I have a doctor's appointment that I cannot possibly reschedule. And y'all, I need to like vacuum my bathroom rugs. If I thought of it, it was an excuse. The list went on. And I got myself to the point of thinking, you know what, Gabby? You are absolutely right. You don't have time for this. But the next morning, I needed to justify my decision, so I called my mom. And I was gonna tell her all about this opportunity I had. And then I start to list off the excuses of why I can't do it, and like that doctor's appointment that I cannot reschedule, and those bathroom rugs, y'all, are rough. And then I said, so you know what, I'm not gonna do it. And the most alarming thing happened. It was dead silent on the other end of the phone for what felt like eternity. Followed by the question from my mom, and you're happy with that decision? It was within that question I came to the realization that I wasn't saying no because of the million excuses I thought of. I was saying no because I felt unsure and insecure that God could ever use me, especially for something like this. But in 2 Corinthians, the Apostle Paul actually talks directly to that insecurity I was feeling. And in chapter 12, he says this: my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. And for me, this was a reminder that I don't have to have it all together. I don't have to have no doubt or insecurity ever. But it's about relying on the power of Jesus to work through my weaknesses. Here I was trying to get in the way of that. But thankfully, I have my mom to set me straight and the Apostle Paul to remind me that no matter what I think of myself, I can't stop a move of God. And now I need you to hear this. No matter what you think of yourself, you can't stop a move of God. Maybe you've been telling yourself, I'm not good enough, smart enough, popular enough. I don't have what it takes for God to use me. Why would God ever want to use me? But those reasons that you're telling yourself God can't use you are some of the exact reasons that He will. It's not about having all the answers. It's not about never dealing with weakness or insecurity. It's about leaning into the power of Jesus and allowing Him to work in and through you and through your weaknesses. Paul goes on in verse 9 to say this: so now I'm glad to boast about my weaknesses, so the power of Christ can work through me. Paul was able to boast in his weaknesses because he knew God's power is made perfect in his weakness. So just like the Apostle Paul wrote, and just like my mom had to remind me, I'm gonna lean into my weaknesses. I'm gonna embrace my insecurities, because when I am weak, then I am strong. So what is it for you that you need to lean into Jesus, lean in His power, because He's waiting for you?
So 2,000 years ago, there was this movement that began. It's a movement that changed history. It's a movement that has transformed lives. It's a movement that every single one of us has been invited to be a part of. But I think that there are some times where we get in the way of the movement, because there are times where we trust our insecurities more than we trust God's promises. There are times where we look at all the circumstances around us and we get so hung up on what's wrong that we miss what God is doing. but you can't stop a move of God. And I need you to know that if God started it, ain't nobody gonna stop it. And you are invited into it. We are stepping into a new year. You're about to step into new life. Because 2,000 years ago, this movement that was started by a man named Jesus. What you've got to understand is that as human beings, every single one of us, we've all made mistakes, we've sinned, and that sin has created a distance between us and God. What is sin? It's the things we do to hurt ourselves and others, but that's not the way it was meant to be. In the beginning, God created every single one of us with a plan and a purpose to live in relationship with Him. But because of that sin, because of the distance, God knew that something had to change. And so what He did is He literally became a human being. He walked on this earth 2,000 years ago. The story of Jesus is the story of God becoming man, of God stepping into pain so that we could experience life. It's the story of the light of the world stepping into the darkness to pull us out of it. And what I need you to understand is that in this moment, that God is reaching out to you. He is inviting you to put your trust in Him, to turn from your old life, to put your trust in Him, to follow Him, to be made brand new in a single moment. The grace of Jesus is available to you. Will you accept it? Will you choose to step into the new life that God has invited you into?